Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Great to be here with you all this morning. Seth Udinsky, Samuel Case, and your host, Mark Manila. Mark, good morning, brother. Great to be here.
Well, welcome, gentlemen, and welcome all of you out there in TV land, as they used to say. Do you remember that?
TV land, Mark.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm dating myself, but I do remember
all our
that.
partners, watchers, listeners.
I remember
and
there was
those
a
who'd be
channel
watching
called
this.
TV Land. I don't know what was
Yeah,
on it,
that's what I was
but I know
talking
it
about.
existed.
That's right.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're all with us today. Thank you for joining in, and we look forward to a great time together. We want you to be part of it. 610-363-1110. That's 610-363-1110. Call in and get in the queues right away. The phones are open.
Amen, Mark. 610-363-1110. Top stories today, guys. AI, Mark, is becoming more regulated by the federal government. What do you think, guys? Is this good or bad? Call in. Let us know. AI regulation. We'll discuss that. Also, some of the top financial resolutions heading into 2026. We had this story teed up for yesterday, didn't have time for it, so we'll try to get to it today. But Mark, first things first, I think a pressing story here. Again, we've been talking a lot about the ins and outs of year-end giving. And today's topic is giving out of a donor-advised fund. Mark, what do we need to know about this?
I've always liked the idea of a donor-advised fund. It is so cool to think about. Imagine you opening up your own mutual fund. Pretty much what it is. You start an account and you open it up and you put all your donations into there. And when you put the donations into there, you immediately get to deduct them like you would if they went directly to a ministry. Now, those funds aren't yours anymore. They're you have control over the investment and distribution of those to 501c3s or other qualified ministries. But you now get to manage those until you do give them out. And here's what I really like about it. Imagine you and your wife, or you and your wife and your kids, and even your grandkids, if you wanted to, coming together one day and just saying, okay, we have this fund and we've put money in it to help or to support ministries or to honor God by giving back to God. So some of it could go to the church, some of it could go to your favorite ministries. But let's talk about, where do we want this money to go? And use it as a learning moment for your children and a consciousness moment for you and your wife to be aware, awake, conscious of what you're doing, where this money's going, not an automatic deduction from your paycheck or something like that. So you put money into this fund, you manage it so you can manage it in alignment with biblical responsible principles. And then as time goes by, you give from that to you have it transferred to the 501c3s, the ministries, the churches, the things that you think are important that God has called you to support. I mean, how cool is that? And then you get everybody involved in your immediate life or that you believe should be involved so you could discuss these things and go deeper and do research. You could even have the kids say, okay, so you don't have an idea right now? Well, why don't you start looking into it, where you want to help? Do you want to help feed people? Do you want to help house people? Do you want to just help the church with the youth group? How do you want to help financially someone and have them do some research into the organizations they're interested in? So a donor-fund type of fund, advised fund, is actually, it's just an investment account that you contribute assets to and receive an immediate deduction. And then you recommend the grants to the different ministries over time instead of all at once. There's some benefits to this, which a lot of people don't think about. One of the benefits is, let's say you have a good year. For example, you sell a business or a part of a business, and you're going to have massive tax liability from doing that. Well, you could donate a portion of the monies. Let's say you said, okay, well, I'm selling my business. I want to give the first fruits to the Lord from this. So I'm going to give 10% or 15 or 20% of this to the Lord. But you don't know exactly where to go with all these funds because it might be more than you're used to giving. Well, you could put it in the donor advised fund, take the deduction for that year, and then disperse it over the next year or so as you find the needs or the direction that God wants you to use these funds to support and to channel them to. So it's really a wonderful idea. It's a donor advised fund. And the way you set one up is you get a hold of one of the organizations that do these things, like, what is it? Christian Community Foundation or National Christian Foundation. There's a few of them out there that you could use, and they'll set it up. And then once it's set up, you donate the money into it. Just remember, you lose ownership of those assets when you transfer them in, whether it's money or appreciated stock or whatever it is you put into that fund. You no longer own it. Now it's sitting in there waiting to be distributed. And from a spiritual perspective, just remember, donating to a DAF is not gifting yet. What you've done is just moved them out of your ownership into this fund, but they haven't gone anywhere to bless somebody yet. So sometimes you want to watch out that the monies just don't sit in there too long and you forget about them, or they never get put to work for God's purposes and to his glory. So that's the downside of it. Sometimes people start these and they build up a whole lot of money, but they forget to move it out of those funds to the ministries that God would have them support, that God would have them contributing to. So you can donate appreciated assets. You could do it in a year where you're facing a tax hike. You could set it up for systematic giving within it if you wanted to. I like the idea of sitting down with those closest to you, using it as a learning moment to help everybody come together to do it. And it also might be a way, like I said, if you came into a lot of money all at once and you want to make sure that it doesn't get whittled away, you want to go ahead and tithe or give, New Testament give on it, and put the money in there and then do research. It gives you time to do the research, so you just don't drop money because you have it, but you do it purposefully. So I love donor advised funds, and I think it's a great way for a lot of people to make the most of their giving.
Now, Mark, here's a question that we just got from Brian in the chat. He's saying, I can't find a donor advised fund that lets you invest in individual stocks. So can it be BRI then? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, sure. You could use Timothy Plan funds. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm going to have to look into that. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I don't know where he looked. So if he has any more information, send it to me. What organizations he contacted to try and do so, and we can go from there. Some of them, there are a lot of restrictions on what you can invest in for sure, but you can invest strictly BRI. I know that for certain.
Mark, are there any limitations we need to be aware of for this? Like, I'm thinking age limits. Is this only for people of certain age, certain net worth, things like that?
That's a good question as well. No, I don't believe there are. But remember, like generally, I can't ever remember any donor advice fund that was started for less than $50,000. I think because of the administration that might be involved in it, there's some limitations by the organizations that set up the DAF for you. But I can look into all these and go deeper. In fact, I as I was preparing for this or thinking about this, I was thinking, I wish I had an organization I could recommend. And I didn't off the top of my head this morning. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some research. I'm going to find one I really like that does well the way they do it, that makes it easy and inexpensive for you to be able to do this. So we'll come up with some ideas for you in the near future here.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Mark. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, call in right now at 610-363-1110. If you got questions about donor advised funds like Brian just asked, or any of the other things that we're talking about. Guys, I think we'll save that AI story for the following segment. If you are interested in chiming in on AI becoming more regulated by the federal government, if it's a good thing or not, let us know. We'd love to hear about it. If you have an opinion about AI at all, it's been a hot topic that we and other shows I know have talked about, guys, a lot. and it's going to be something that's going to continue. I think this stuff isn't going away. So call in right now. Before the end of the segment, guys, quickly here, we'll take a look. The markets kind of skidded to a moderate losing day yesterday to open the week. It seems like investors are kind of displaying sort of the expected nervousness that you might get with a looming Fed meeting, which we do get tomorrow, Mark. In fact, I think the Fed meeting starts today. We won't get their recommendation until tomorrow about the interest rate choice. But as such, the markets ended the day a little down. The Dow Jones was down about 0.5%, S&P about 1/3%, the NASDAQ about 1/8%. And this morning, the pre-market's pricing in to open slightly down as well. I'm loving the Christmas music, Mark. This is great. This is awesome.
I was going to ask you, did you notice that's Christmas music?
It's Christmas time again. Call in, folks. We'd love to hear from you. 610-363-1110 here. Christmas time at Financial Issues. We'll be right back after this.
My wife and I, we moved into this neighborhood. We had some experience with Crossroads Kids Club. We had served at another club. We kind of thought to ourselves, like, it would be really, really cool for us to actually bring in a club that was able to share the love of Jesus with kids directly into the school. And so we started our Crossroads at Hilltop.
Crossroads is amazing. You can learn all kinds of things about God. That He loves all of us. He died on the cross to pay for our sins. That He will help me in every way.
There is just such tremendous opportunity to reach kids in some of these areas that just aren't being reached.
Sometimes I pray every night. When I feel alone sometimes, God is right there sitting next to me. I can rely on Him no matter what happens.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachOurschools.com.
Bring back free speech to America.
Zuckerberg drops a bombshell, reversing Meta's content moderation policies.
I started building social media to give people a voice. It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Times are changing, and it's the everyday American who is pushing the changes.
People have had enough of what these companies are doing.
Money talks, so why not have it represent your values? Get started at financialissues.org.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 21 years old. For me, I was scared, I was shaking. They do an ultrasound, and that's when everything changed. When I saw my baby, and when I heard her heartbeat, that was it. We've seen the hand of God ever since we stepped into the pregnancy center.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Good to be here with you all. 610-363-1110. Delightful Christmas music. Great to be here.
Delightful.
That's awesome. You know what's also delightful, guys, is the Timothy Plan. I love Timothy Plan. We were talking about it before the show, and just amazing to know that your investments are completely biblically responsible. But also, Mark, I love the performance that they give. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but just so grateful for the work that Timothy Plan does to stand with us shoulder to shoulder in the fight for biblically responsible investing. It's awesome.
Cool.
So,
yeah, I love Timothy Plan.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm so they've led the way. They carved the path, and there's been a whole lot of people jump on the bandwagon, which I'm happy about. But Timothy Plan has stayed true to honoring God in all they do. And in an investment forum, that's very hard to do that. They've done incredibly well at doing that. In fact, they've stayed pure. And now, you look at everything about them and you got to say, thank God for Timothy Plan.
Amen, brother. Check them out, folks. TimothyPlan.com. You can check them out there right now. All right, let's talk about this AI stuff, guys. So, Sam, what exactly is going on with the whole federalizing AI regulation that we're seeing from the Trump administration? Give us the details here.
Yeah, so this is a new executive order that Trump is going to sign this week. You know, what's ironic about it, the whole idea is actually to create less regulation around AI, because what Trump's big fear is that AI is going to be in a state where each individual state in the country, so all 50 states, have their own regulatory regimes, and Trump says that's really going to hamper us when we're trying to improve AI against China. So Trump's going to sign this executive order saying only the federal government can pass these regulations. He said we're beating all countries at this point in the race, but that won't last long if we're going to have 50 states, many of them bad actors, involved in rules and the approval process. He also said earlier that the U.S. must have one federal standard instead of a patchwork of 50 state regulatory regimes.
Yeah, I could see how that could be real concerning, especially when you think of a state like California regulating AI. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to this. I really believe that it will help with the tech sector in the AI. Here's the situation, like you said, 50 states all regulating it different ways. It really holds them back. There's a lot of legal costs, a lot of wasted money trying to put things together.
And Mark, wouldn't it really give each state an individual veto power, because they're going to want to comply with all of the states?
They're going to have it anyway. Remember, states have powers on their own too. So it could tie up a lot of stuff in court. So it's not going to override that totally. It's just going to give some guidance and move it forward. I think it'll help in a lot of ways. First of all, it'll reduce the compliance complexity. It'll all have to be defined, and it'll happen sooner if the federal government leads and then the states come on board and challenge or do what they need to do to make it work. So I think that alone will help reduce the compliance complexity and legal uncertainty. But I think there's other things it'll do. I think it'll encourage investment across the tech sector in the AI startup world. I think regulations are needed to help make sure there's transparency in how AI is used and how it's trained and how it is abused and how it things like that. I think we need regulation on data protection and privacy safeguards for you and me and everybody in the world who wants to use it. Some sort of accountability for when AI systems fail. You know, right now they put a little disclaimer at the bottom of all the AI things saying sometimes it's wrong. Well, you know what? It's your responsibility to make sure it's not wrong. If you're selling this product to help people do stuff and you're saying it's doing the research for you and this is what it's found. I don't mind it being wrong sometimes, but there's got to be accountability if that wrong harms somebody. What if you're using AI to help with surgery or something and the person dies? I just think there's things that need to be done. But the biggest, I think there needs to be ethical guardrails that protect children, from things like porn and language and unwanted influences and guardrails that reflect human dignity so that it doesn't program people where the program doesn't program people, that don't impose values or beliefs or social and religious beliefs on people by not bringing in certain things. Like we've already seen in AI where people will ask it a question and it'll answer from a far left perspective and leave out. I've done it a few times and I had to get real stern with the AI saying, no, I want this from a Christian conservative perspective. And it'd still come back with some wording that still leans a little left. So we need some guardrails up on all of this. But I do believe it'll help. And I do believe it'll help with Wall Street and the stock market as well in the tech and AI sector.
Yeah, the big discussion I'm hearing about regulation is using people's likenesses, because you don't want to, I don't want to tell AI to frame you for murder, Mark. We got to be able to protect those types of things.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen again.
The legal expenses, it's really messy.
It's just crazy.
It is interesting though, guys, and I appreciate both of you sharing those thoughts with that. I have a lot of concerns with AI, as you guys know. The pornography issue is a big one for sure. Sam, what you just mentioned also. Mark, my big concern with this, and I'm all for a federal standard superseding those of liberal states when the Trump administration is in charge. But what if, God forbid, Gavin Newsom becomes president and then the federal standard is his federal standard? That sounds dangerous to me. Am I off base? It
always is. Yeah, unfortunately, Seth, there's nothing we can do about that except elect good people to both the presidency and the Congress, because what happens is this isn't a law being passed by Congress. This is something President Trump wrote in. This is his executive order. That can be overridden the day he steps out by the next president.
Right.
So those are the kind of things, this is what Congress should be doing. Trump is so ahead of Congress. Congress should be setting these laws. Congress should be voting on these laws. They should be passing the things that protect and enhance the United States. And so far, I'm not seeing a lot coming out of Congress to do what the president has done, or to etch in stone the reality that these things cannot be just signed away by the next president, that they actually have become laws. So we need to be on top of Congress. My beef with Congress. I just don't think they're doing their job still. I know they're talking a good talk now, but they always have. But I'm not seeing the things coming out of Congress.
That's their job. Talk a good
like
talk.
The budget.
Right.
Let's not have a continuing resolution anymore. Let's get these budget things in stone.
Just to clarify for our audience, there is no specific regulation in this executive order. All this is saying is that all regulations must come through the federal government. So we're not talking about any specific regulations at this point. I know you guys know that. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and tomorrow we'll have another headlines that say 13 states are suing the federal government, or suing the Trump administration over this executive order because it is not constitutional. I don't know whether it is or not, but I don't believe that saying all regulation of this has to come through the federal government is something a president has the right to do. I think that would be a congressional act. I'm not a politician. I'm not an attorney. So we'll see what happens on all this.
So, Mark, for our purposes, as biblically responsible investors who probably have a significant exposure in tech right now, I'm just going to guess that that's probably the case for a lot of our investors. How might something like this, assuming it goes through, impact the tech sector and AI from an investment perspective?
Well, I think it'll open it up a little bit more. The markets love clarity and they love direction. When there's clear direction, you've heard me talk about, we're in a time where the markets are getting confusion. They're coming together and nobody knows what direction they're going to go or why or how. When the markets get clarity in something, they move in the right direction, and that's up. So I believe that if we have clear regulations that are beneficial to the public, we will see more investments going into AI and technology than already have poured in. I believe they'll help the markets there.
610-363-1110. Elsewhere, guys, we are seeing the top financial resolutions, at least according to some studies here, into 2026. Sam, can you give us these?
Yeah, this one's from Motley Fool. Top 5 financial resolutions heading into next year. Number 1, of course, paying off debt, mostly credit cards, but other stuff too. Followed by saving for a major milestone, things like home down payments, weddings, cars, things like that. Saving for a large purchase, maybe a vacation. Saving more for retirement. And last but not least, increasing income. So those are the top 5. The only problem is only 2 in 5 Americans think they'll actually stick with their resolution this coming year.
Tends to happen that way, doesn't it?
Well, there seems to be some reality in all this.
Right, 40% reality. There you go.
But you know what? I don't like that I'm going to say this, but I'm going to agree with their first debt reduction as being the right first priority. I don't like a lot of the stuff that I see oftentimes from this organization come out, but the debt reduction, it's absolutely the right first priority. Paying off high interest credit cards and debt belongs at the very top. My heart in debt. Scripture tells us that the borrower becomes a slave to the lender. What we actually have done is signed away, when we go into debt, we sign away part of our future income to somebody else. It's just the opposite of saving for retirement. It's reducing our retirement, and you don't benefit from it outside of immediacy, like credit cards. You get something immediately, but you've given up income for the future, and then you pay to rent the money to buy that. and that rental goes away, and it goes to other people and sends other people's children to college, and retires other people in chateaus on the French Riviera instead of you, So I just think it's a great idea. Debt reduction is great. Saving for major milestones, it's good. I think you should have plans, but not before the basics. The basics like developing a buffer zone, which I didn't see a lot in there on that. So I think there's some crucial things like emergency savings should be in there, and some other things. And in fact, I wrote a paper about this, a small pamphlet for our listeners and stuff, Seth, which I think is coming out soon, isn't it?
It is going to be, Mark. Yeah. So, folks, it's going to be called Stewarding the New Year, 7 Stewardship Projects to Start the Year with Strength. Coming this Monday, we're going to have this document free on our website. However, if you want to receive that document right now, today, earlier than everyone else, call into the show, 610-363-1110. Cut the line, like Sam said. That's exactly right. Call in with a comment. We'd love to talk to you, a question, and we will email you this copy, the Stewarding the New Year 7 Stewardship Projects, today. Today you'll have it, so call in today, folks, 610-363-1110. If you have to leave us, we hope you have a great rest of the day. The rest of you, more to come after this.
My baby was like this big. He was like this tiny little spectrum of hope and this unnamed beauty, in a sense. It was poetic. And I saw his heart beating on the screen. And I mean, I went from, I don't want this baby, it's just a fetus, it's just cells put together, to talking to my child on the screen, and feeling really protective, and knowing that there's life growing inside. I mean, that sonogram changed my life. I went from just Candace to mom. I'm a mom.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Navigating through investment options can be challenging, especially when you're determined to uphold your God-given values. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the world that you want to live in. Let your values guide your investment decisions and help to shape the culture in which we live. Become a beacon of light and pave the way with biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, where faith and finance collide. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Call in today, folks. Join the conversation, and we'll send you, you'll get to cut the line. You'll get your copy of Mark's Stewarding the New Year, 7 Stewardship Projects to Start the Year with Strength. Sam, you had a good follow-up to what we were just talking about there when it pertains to debt. Can you bring that up for our audience, Sam?
Right. So we were talking about how it's a great idea that the number one resolution is to pay off the debt. But the problem is, according to this poll, only 2 in 5 Americans think they're actually going to do it. So, Mark, what are you supposed to do? You can have all these great resolutions, these great plans, but how do you actually get the gumption to stick with your plans, get that discipline?
Yeah, I think the answer is in the Bible, really. Imagine that. So I think it's in Proverbs. I didn't look it up, so forgive me, but it talks about the plans of man and the plans of God. So, what in our life really works out if we don't bring God into it? What in our life do we have the strength to overcome without the power of the Holy Spirit? Very little, if anything. And most people don't realize that until they've been a believer a long time. It's the power of God in us, His strength, His righteousness, His truth, and His wisdom in us that allows us to succeed. So it's really His success. So if we want to succeed with getting debt paid down or any other New Year's resolution, what we need to do is first go before God and ask Him, Lord, what would you have me resolve here? What is it that you want me to do? What is it that you believe are the priorities in my life? Well, your word tells me debt is bad. Will you help me? Will you give me the strength? Will you give me the plan? Will you bring the wise people into my life, the godly wisdom into my life through godly men and women to help guide me in this? And you go before the Lord with it. That's when these things stick. That's when they really happen. And by developing a plan for debt reduction, like we'll be talking about at the beginning of the year, how to actually get out of debt and stay out of debt, in a way that makes sense, not like a diet where you get out of debt and then you go back in and then you go back in and then you get out of debt again. And, it's ups and downs and you never really get out of debt. You just going in cycles and circles. The way to do that is to come up first, go before the Lord, make sure it's God's desire for you to do this, which I believe getting out of debt is, no matter what. It may not be the number one priority for you. He may have something else. So it's got to be God's resolution for you first. Does that make sense? And then second, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan put in place that you're going to follow so that you can systematize it and make it work. Those two things in place and resolutions will go through the ceiling of being kept and honored, because now it's God's power in your life. Now it's God's strength. Now it's God's passion in your life. Now by completing this resolution, you're honoring God, not yourself. And so much more comes into it to make it worthwhile. And now you have a plan. So 2 points. One is take it before God, get His input first, and then second, come up with a plan.
Mark, in particular, when we're talking about our investments, there are a lot of things you can do to hatch that plan. You can go to a financial advisor, of course, and pay a fee for possibly several $100s an hour, or you can become a partner with Financial Issues and pay $132 a year, and we can help you with that plan to invest with biblical integrity. I think that'd be a great thing for you to
our
do.
Educational services could help you understand what it means to invest, why invest, how to invest, those kind of things. We even do analytics for you to help you to see how to do it. And then we give you ideas that you can sort through so you can find what works for you. You can do you can do your research or you could look at our research. So there's so much that's back there, the tools, the educational, all the different things, the examples, like the different models that we use for asset allocation that you could look at that are just general models we put together to help people understand how to create an asset allocation. And then you contour those for your life, obviously, as everyone should. So there's so much you get for $132 a year. It's hard to just talk about in a short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to learn more, folks? Financialissues.org. Just click Become a Partner. We'd love to have you. Hey, Mark, let's get to this comment here. And by the way, phone lines are open at 610-363-1110, folks. Robert with a great comment here, Mark. He's saying, hey, Mark, I had finally received Wall Street Awakening from when I ordered it from Amazon several weeks ago. About a week later, your autographed copy arrived. Thank you for that. I gave the Amazon copy to a coworker who's now a member and using the FISM portfolio tracker. One more has been converted, and little by little, we will win the war against darkness. Robert, that's awesome.
Love that. Leave a 5-star review on Amazon, right, Mark?
Yeah, and that's the way it happens is when one person tells another. That's the way Jesus did it. Of course, he talked to thousands upon thousands. Hopefully we're doing that too. But Robert, thank you for that. And thank you for the endorsement on the book. I do hope it has changed your life. And it's obviously it's changed others. If people don't know what it looks like, here's what it looks like. It is available on Amazon. But people can receive them by contacting the ministry as well. I think we're going to do a promotion.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, Mark. If you want to, so I'm just going to say this, and this is what we're going to go with here. If you want to receive a copy of Wall Street Awakening, make a donation of any amount to the ministry. If it's between you and God, you can give whatever you want, which means you can undercut Amazon, which isn't a bad thing in the world. And yeah, you can bless the ministry if you feel like covering the cost of shipping, or if you want to bless the ministry a little more with a year-end gift, you're welcome to do that. But for any amount that the Lord leads you to give, we'll send you a copy of Mark's book, The Wall Street Awakening. We love to get this to you and get as many of those as we can. Mark, I know that they're limited. I would love to say we'll send people as many as they would want to, but we probably can't do that. But if you want an extra copy like Robert did to give to someone else, I'm sure we can arrange that as well.
Amen.
Yeah, that's
Amen.
Awesome.
Thank you, Robert. Good job.
Yeah, great job, Robert. 610-363-1110. Mark, let's get to this question from David. David is saying, hey, Mark, if you held a stock in your IRA for over a year and then move it in kind to your brokerage account, does it keep its long-term capital gain status during the first year in the brokerage account?
Well, David, that's interesting you bring that up. But no, it doesn't. It is a great question. But the reality is any money that you take out of your IRA or any qualified plan is considered a distribution. So you're going to have to pay taxes on any gains you have, or if it comes out of an IRA, not gains, you're going to have to pay it just as taxes to ordinary income. Out of Roth, obviously, it's tax-free under the right circumstances, unless you're too young or you're below 59 and a half or whatever the rules are for the different qualified plan that you have. So if it's an IRA, it's treated as a distribution. You're going to have to pay tax on it as ordinary income for the full amount. IRAs don't generally track the gains within on the individual things because everything in it is taxable when it comes out. So when you move it from a qualified plan to your regular account, what'll happen is you'll get a 1099 on that. You'll have to pay that. You'll have to report it as income. And then when the stock enters your normal unqualified tax account or untaxed qualified account, you'll then start tracking the gains there. That's when the period resets and capital gains start from there. And the value of that stock starts at the value of the day it enters your brokerage account. So yeah, understanding tax implication is part of being a financial steward. So it's a good question. And I think it's worthwhile to ask. And maybe somebody didn't realize that if you moved it from your IRA in kind to your individual account, that you have to pay tax on it, just like any other distribution from an IRA, and that's when the tracking of your gains or losses begins, when it hits your regular account.
It's great, Mark. Appreciate that. 610-363-1110. By the way, folks, if you're looking for the Ag Report, once again, we now have the Ag Report once a week, so we'll have our Ag Report tomorrow. But actually, we're also going to have a little bonus this week. Craig Howard's going to join us on Thursday. There's been a lot of things going on with Trump and farming and other things like that we want to get his opinion on. But you can check out today's Ag Report at the website, financialissues.org. Mark, one more question for this segment here before we go to break. Michael is saying, hey, Mark, good morning. Would it be a good biblical purchase to have the SPDR fund index in my portfolio? What do you think?
You know, Michael, thanks for asking that question. And I think most people realize this, and I'm not sure whether you did or not, but I believe index funds are just, one way to say it, are just broad and blind. Index funds don't know what's in them, and most, if not all, especially things like the SPDR, the S&P 500 funds, they include stocks that not only promote but participate in abortion, pornography, sexual immorality, LGBTQ activism, anti-family entertainment, gambling, and so many other ugly things. You can't have a broad index without doing that because they don't screen for biblical responsible companies as we do, or as Christians need to do. It's a secular index is what it comes down to, and it's broad and blind. So no, I don't. You shouldn't invest in an index fund to begin with, just because of the BRI screening on it will never screen clean, and you'll be partnering with, and I mean that, partnering. When you own a stock, when you own an index, you own the stocks in the index. And when you own the stocks and index, you have become a partner with those companies, and therefore you're partnering with both the good and the ugly. So no, we don't suggest ever investing in a secular index like a SPDR or anything like that. Thank you for your question, though, and I hope that doesn't hurt your heart any. Hopefully it makes you jump with joy to realize there's so many other investments you could invest in and enjoy knowing that you're honoring God with your investments. So thank you for also being a listener. We'll be right back.
I remember my life before I met Jesus. I was most of the time afraid. I remember one of my teachers gave the classroom an invitation for Crossroads. When they talked to me about the love of God, I felt a sort of peace in my heart. I will commit myself to learn more about God's Word, to be able to share the gospel to others.
To help reach more kids like Louise with the life-changing hope of the gospel, visit reachOurSchools.com.
In the last 10 to 15 years.
If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. On top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn.
Then they sat me down. If you were to die today, do you think you would go to heaven? And I was like, no. Keeping the child was my first stepping stone, and ever since then, God has cleaned me up from the inside out.
Help support women in need. Go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
610-363-1110. Folks, we'll get to you if you call in right now. Mark, let's get to this question here from Craig. This is a good one. This is not Craig Howard.
Okay.
This is Craig, a partner who's 40. And
Craig,
I
a
appreciate
partner.
Craig's heart to be biblically responsible. Interesting situation here. I'll just read his question for you. He said, I just got hired at a large parachurch organization called Young Life. They offer a 4% match in their retirement. And then after 3 years, they add an additional 7% on top. They use Fidelity, which I already use. They allow me to do self-directed, and I chose a Roth. However, their fund options are not biblically responsible. Now, I'm committed to BRI. How do I approach this dilemma? I want the match, but I don't want their funds available. And Mark, there's an extra added level to this, that this is a Christian organization. So what should Craig do?
Well, unfortunately, we see this with a lot of Christian organizations. The human resources on a larger Christian organization, including denominations, historically haven't been biblically responsible with their investments. It's taken us, 40 years, 45 years to get the majority of them just to even step closer to get out of pornography or get out of some of the really ugly companies that are distributing or using or abusing people. But many of them still don't even screen for what the corporate donations do and what they're supporting with your dividends, that what should be your dividends. So
Mark, is that because they don't know what BRI is? They don't understand the principles, or is it just, I don't want to deal with it?
Well, obviously, I don't know their motives.
Yeah, I just was wondering.
But I can tell you,
Mark,
I can tell you my history on it.
Yes,
I can
that's
tell
what
you
I was asking.
Yeah, and I would just wonder too: is it as simple as these Christian organizations just don't think about it? Like they're just like, oh, okay, put it in an index fund.
And of course, we're not talking specifically about Young Life here. We're talking about just your general experience with this.
Yeah. My general experience with this is many of them are ran by organizations that the people in charge of the management of the portfolios don't care. We've gotten, when I was with, when I would interview some of these people with this, when I'd talk to them as a brother, coming to beside a brother to try to help them to get BRI, they'd say stuff like, our responsibility is to retire pastors, not to screen our the money we're making for them. You know, it's just a lot. One, it could be laziness. Two, it could be they're just not true believers that are doing it. Three, it could be that they're afraid they couldn't manage well if they had to restrict it to only BRI assets, even though that's the majority of the market. So the bottom line is it could be greed, it could be laziness, it could be anti-Christian within the Christian community. You know, everybody who claims the name of Christ is not walking with the Lord, you know. So there's so many things it could be, but it doesn't matter. We have to assume that God's working in this organization. So maybe they just don't know. Maybe they just haven't heard about it. It's been a long time of us trying to bring awareness to the world, but there's still the majority of people really don't understand what it means to invest with biblical integrity. So I would say really what has to happen is here is Craig, he really needs to make sure he doesn't have any options. I'm not questioning his thoroughness or whether he really knows or not, but he may not understand that some things might be clean, even if they're not labeled Christian or biblically responsible. Right. For example, you know, maybe they have a money market. I know that's not a big investment, but most 401ks have a money market. Most 401ks have a short-term treasury bond fund. Most 401ks have other things like that. And in some small cap mutual funds, even though they're not from Timothy Plan or elsewhere, they could screen clean. So if he has a list of the restrictions of what he's restricted to, if it's 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 different funds or whatever, that if this 401k is restricted, or 403, I guess it's a 401k, he can go ahead and screen them, go out to financial issues, go to the screen to clean it and screen those, or he could just send it in to us and we'll screen it for him if he really wants to know. So that would be the first step. Then the second step, if they really don't offer anything worthwhile, I would suggest that if they're going to have a money market, at the very least, you could put your donations in a money market, get the free match up to the 3%. That's 100% return every year you make a donation on the money that you donated. So that's good. And you could just keep it in there for the 3 years or so till the 7% is given to you. You know, that you could do that. That alone wouldn't be a bad idea. But I think I'd take it a little further so that you could actually participate in the markets as well. And I've done this a lot with a lot of clients when I had my advisory service. If their 401k, whether it was a secular company or a religious organization, we would have them write a letter. And by the way, this would be a physical letter, not just an email to human resource, but something that could be delivered that you can then track the UPS to show it went there. To them, asking them for help. Now, I really believe you need to, how you approach the corporation, I've seen the difference. Those who demanded you have to give me some funds that I can invest in, blah, blah, blah. There's always pushback when you push. You push me in the chest, and sometimes I just push back too. You know, I just get firm on it. Instead of approaching it that way, express gratitude, share your conviction about honoring God with them, and explain the dilemma. Suggest solutions like Timothy plans, funds, or ETFs. Reassure them that
Mark,
you're seeking alignment, not making demands.
Yeah. What about the master's plan? Also, I think Young Life.
No, it's too big. If you have over 100 employees, you can't use the master's plan.
Yep.
So I wrote a letter for you. If you want this, I'd be happy to send it to you. We just need your email, and I'd like to read it to you if I could. This is how I would approach them. To whom it may concern, HR director's name. I want to begin by expressing my appreciation for the benefits program our company provides. I am grateful for the 401k plan and the commitment our organization makes in helping employees prepare for a strong financial future. As I review the options within the current 401k investment lineup, I'm hoping to participate and contribute. However, I'm having difficulty identifying funds that align with my faith and personal convictions. I practice biblical responsible investing, which encourages stewardship of financial sources while avoiding companies whose activities conflict with foundational Christian values. At this time, I'm not able to find any investment choices in the plan that meet those BRI standards. With great respect, I would like to request that our 401k platform consider adding one or more faith-based, biblically responsible investment options so that employees like myself can participate in the retirement plan without compromising deeply held beliefs. There are well-established investment providers that specialize in this area, including Timothy Plan mutual funds and ETFs, among others, that could be integrated into the lineup. I believe offering this option would support employee diversity of values and beliefs, encourage greater participation in the retirement plan, and allow employees to invest with integrity and confidence. I fully understand that changes to a retirement plan require thoughtful review, and I truly appreciate your consideration of this request. I am more than willing to provide information or connect you with representatives from biblically responsible investment providers if that would be helpful. Thank you again for your time, your leadership, and for considering a solution that supports employees in both financial stewardship and personal conviction. With gratitude and respect, and then your name. If you'd like this, get us your email and I'll get it out to you. And I think I've been told that we might be able to get this up online sometime so people could just download it as well.
Yeah. Mark, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's what it comes down to for Craig. I hope that Craig is encouraged to at least say something.
Yeah. Yeah. So Craig, first check, make sure you screened everything using evaluator services or screen it, clean it, that is on our site. And then secondly, find out if they have a money market. If they never respond to you or your letter, you still could contribute to your retirement plan. Just have it go into the money market or the short-term treasury a fund that they may have. And if you need help with that screening, don't be shy to reach out to us. Appreciate your heart. I appreciate your desire to honor God in all you do, because that's what we're really about here, is to help you to do the best you can with what God has entrusted to you and help you to realize the fullness of Christ in your life by the way you handle the stewardship. And it sounds to me like your heart is there, that God has opened up your mind and your heart and given you the ability to impact not only yourself, but many others at this ministry that you're at, so that they can align their whole mission, not just what they're doing on the outside, but what they're doing on the inside too. That's very important. And it's very important to realize that each of us have that responsibility to share what God has given us, the insights He has given us, to share it in love and respect. Remember, it's hard to run a business. It's hard to run an organization. It's hard to be there. So again, approach it with honor and respect and request help, not to be demanding. And if you do that, I think there's a good chance you'll get a positive response from it. As often happens when we walk in the ways of God and do everything we can to honor Him with everything we have, including your investments. Thank you for loving God and investing with biblical integrity.
ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an
My wife and I, we moved into this neighborhood. We had had some experience with Crossroads Kids Club. We had served at another club. We kind of thought to ourselves, like, it would be really, really cool for us to actually bring in a club that was able to share the love of Jesus with kids directly into the school. And so we started our Crossroads at Hilltop.
Crossroads is amazing. You can learn all kinds of things about God. That He loves all of us. He died on the cross to pay for our sins. That He will help me in every way.
There is just such tremendous opportunity to reach kids in some of these areas that just aren't being reached.
Sometimes I pray every night. When I feel alone sometimes, God is right there sitting next to me. I can rely on Him no matter what happens.
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachourschools.com.
Every day. As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. While the financial gift is important, if we stop there, we miss an opportunity to minister to the whole need of our brother or sister. When you faithfully pray and send a note of encouragement and scripture along with your share, those words become a vessel of God's continued healing and blessing on the receiver. And the impact it has is immeasurable, bringing glory to God and provision and unity to His church. Glorify God with your health care. Send a note this month.
In a world where financial decisions can feel overwhelming, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But what if there is a way to align your financial goals with your deepest values? Financial Issues has helped us navigate the complex world of finance through a biblical lens. By prioritizing and investing in a way that honors God, Financial Issues has empowered us to focus on what truly matters: our family, our faith, and our future. With Financial Issues by our side, we can invest knowing that our financial decisions are in line with our values. Take the first step today and become a Financial Issues partner to access rich online resources, training tools, and guidance for biblically responsible investing. Head over to financialissues.org and learn how to invest your money in a way that honors God. That's financialissues.org.
As of this year,
Navigating through investment options can be challenging, especially when you're determined to uphold your God-given values. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the world that you want to live in. Let your values guide your investment decisions and help to shape the culture in which we live. Become a beacon of light and pave the way with biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, where faith and finance collide. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. On top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn.
Then they sat me down. If you were to die today, do you think you would go to heaven? And I was like, no. Keeping the child was my first stepping stone, and ever since then, God has cleaned me up from the inside out.
Help support women in need. Go to preborn.com/FISM.